This little segment you're about to watch is from a coaching session with Broly Legs. We had about an hour long session. I'll probably cut up different parts and different topics that we covered and sparse them out throughout the month. I think it's a lot better to do it that way than to just release an hour long video that you have to sit through. So if you do enjoy this one, please consider subscribing. And I'm going to leave Broly Legs' coaching link down in the description below if you want to check him out.
But what do you feel like? How do you feel like? What are your like big questions? 'Cause that's what I
Um,
want.
like sometimes it's hard for me to pick because, like you said, I use crouch jab a lot, and I don't use
Oh,
stand jab enough. But I
hmm
use stand medium punch, and then sometimes they'll jump over it. But what I've been doing lately is like when I was playing Chun, you know how when you throw out stand fierce, like some kind those kind of buttons that are really good in neutral.
uh-huh.
People like want to respond to them. They either want to jump or they want to dash or they want to
Yep.
walk forward or something. So that's kind
hmm
of like what I've been trying to do is use stand medium punch to like test the waters and see what they like to do against it. But
Yep.
the biggest problem I have is like when I press it and they either do nothing or they start walking backwards because then I feel like I need to chase them and then it's kind of on me. So what is like the best option there just to take a little bit of space at a time?
So yeah, because the way I see it is, if someone walks back, I always played like if it's a rubber band, right? You can only
Yeah.
stretch it so much. So
Mm.
like if they walk back, I walk forward, and I don't really exceed that. See, like people make mistakes because they kind of exceed that forward. Like they'll walk forward, but they'll walk a little bit too much,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they're in the range of their opponent, and it's kind of like a bait, right? Like I'll walk
Mhm.
back to bait someone to walk forward so that they could be in my stand roundhouse bait as Chun, right? Like that's what I
Yeah.
do as Chun. I'll back up so they can do it. So what you have to do is you kind of have to equal out your
Mm.
end game. Like if that's their play, your mindset should be okay. I'm gonna corner them because eventually they're gonna hit the wall, right? Like I'm just gonna
Yeah.
do my play, and eventually two options is gonna happen. They're either gonna hit the wall or they're gonna jump at you,
Mhm.
and that's kind of like where things, it sucks when it messes up when like maybe you missed an anti-air or maybe you missed an anti-air and they jumped over you, and so you got to restart the thing again. But like that's kind of like the way it is. Monat can jump at full screen and jump roundhouse, and it's really not. There's not much people can do. Like even DP characters, they like unless they know you're gonna roundhouse, they can't DP because you're not really in range. Your jump roundhouse is just so far.
Yeah.
Um, so you can kind of use that to close the gap and just kind of get back into neutral without having to like fight over things. Um, but for the most part, you have to like really test it because like for me, it's a couple things. When someone jumps my normal, either they timed it right and I have to give it to them right. Like there's times where I'm like, oh, he jumped good. Like that was just a good jump. I can't do that. Like there's
Yeah.
really really wrong. It's just more like the timing just matched up perfectly to where he jumped in the right time. Like that's just kind of like it's not, it's like luck, but at the same time it's like, for him to do that at the time I did it, it's like bad luck for you, but it's more like, okay, that was a good jump. Like I always respect it. I'm like, okay, that was a good jump.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if I feel like they're a little too early or a little too late, even if they jump my normal, like sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe I could jump back jab, and that's something you should think about. Is like, okay, well, let me try to jump back jab, right? Let me just try to answer this with something quick. Like that's something that's quick. Like if anything, if you have meter, you can do a DP, you can do EX air throw, right? Like you can
Yeah.
do that because it's invincible on the ground, so that you can catch people, and it has a good range. It's just that it's not an option that most people think about. Like it's not really like, oh, I should DP this. Maybe you, because you played other characters, so maybe kind of like just couldn't like, it might just happen even though it's kicks,
Yeah.
but like, it's an option that you can do. Um, the worst thing is just a block, and that's the other thing that happened is that there was times that you blocked my jump, but then you always took the throw like every time,
Mm.
and jumping into throw, it's kind of like you have a lot of time to just kind of you can like you can input throw. Like the only thing that's really good that would really like mess you up is somebody walked back if they shimmied it. But you could input throw like at the end of the lag of your block stun, and you can tech throw all the time. Like it'll always tech.
Mm.
It's just, yeah, like I said, like and the good thing is, so think of it this way: they knock you down, or like like they're so plus, they can't hit you while you're in stun. Can't, because you're in block zone, so it'll auto block everything.
Yeah.
So what happens is if you input throw at the end of the blocks, you're giving your chance to tech the throw, but at the same time, if they were to say, "Nah, I'm not gonna throw, I'm gonna go for a hit," you're still in block zone. You're just gonna block automatically. You know, there's no worry. So basically, you get like a free, like, I don't know, like 2 to 3 frames of throw kind of OS. Like it's free. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Because then throw won't come out, right? Like it's
Yeah.
invisible because the game is just saying, oh, you put it throw at this range, okay. Like you can't, there won't be any animation, but if you went for throw, you were covering it, so it's fine. And if he goes for like an attack, you block it, so it's still, you're still fine with it. That's why the only problem is if you walk back, the throw might come out and you'll get whiff punished.
Yeah.
But that's just learning. Like that's adaptation in it. Like, and that's the hardest part that I can't. Like, it's not that I can't. It's just students have a real big trouble with that. It's like there's always an answer for something. Like I can't tell you like, oh, this is a perfect defense, because there's always gonna be some kind of answer that they could do. So you have to adjust willingly. Like, yeah, he could shimmy you, then just don't press a button, and you just call it out, right? But for the most part, you just have to play. What are the odds, right? And that's how I play on defense. What are odds? What are the probabilities? Something's gonna happen, and you just kind of roll it. You roll with it, and like it works out. It works out. If it doesn't work out, it's whatever. Like there's, like just my last match that I played on rank. There was times I had to wake up Spinbird, and it's like it's a low probability, but for the most part, he was really aggressive. So I was like, I'm just gonna roll. Chances of him pressing a button is pretty high. I'm gonna go for Spinbird.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. It could be a wrong choice.
And so that was the first part of the session. I played Minot. We played the mirror match. Broly's actually trained another Minot, like a Super Diamond Minot, somebody who is way better than me. So he did have some very good advice for the character. But we then went on to talk about a little bit of why the character might not be the choice for me, or it might be the choice for me, but ultimately you guys got to pick a character that you think is fun. And no matter who I end up choosing, whether it be Minot or Chun-Li or Karen or whatever character, Balrog, any character in the game, it's just going to take time. And I kind of gave you guys a little bit of a taste of the Chun-Li mirror match that we played, a very small taste. I think the last match that we played was I played Karen, so I played my main character versus Chun-Li, and that obviously that one went the best because it's my main character. And every matchup that we played, I sort of learned something different, right? One, because it's a different character, and two, because we just played a little bit differently. I know I'm going to get a lot of questions on is coaching for me, like is coaching worth it for a fighting game? And I think the answer is it's not for everybody. It's for people who are willing to listen, who are willing to implement what the coach is telling you, and who are going to genuinely take the advice, because I know it's hard to do that sometimes. It's hard to sit there and listen to somebody dissect your game and tell you the things that are wrong. And for me, I don't really care. I just want to get better, and I'm happy to listen to that. For some people, it's just not for them, and I get it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that question that I know I'm going to get in the comments at least twice. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you again soon.